Hello and welcome to Corn Free Live. Great to have you all with us today. Before we get into our topic, a quick heads up. We're trying something a little bit different today. I know it's dangerous. You'll see chat prompts and a live poll on your screen any second now, if the tech's working. I can see something. So we're going to do a quick test. There's no right or wrong answer here, no judgment, just testing the tech. As it says in the chat, drop a 1, 2, or 3 for the question you see there. So where are you joining from us today? Office, home, or somewhere else? Just pop it in the chat. We just want to kind of see if it's working, the technology's working. So please do that. We want to see some activity, and that'll give us an idea of what we're doing later. So if you can have a little play, then we'll see those bars change and make a difference. So at the moment, I'm not seeing a lot of action. I can see, there we go. We've got some home office there. Brilliant. It is. So at least I know the tech's working, even though you're not engaging. So come on, people, just show. All you got to do is a 1, 2, or 3. I'm not coming to find out if you're not at home or you're not at work. It's all good. Brilliant. Thank you very much. So we'll be using that later, and we'll be looking for you to get involved because we'll have a poll on the topic that we're going into. So thank you very much. Thank you, Susan, Kate. I can see you all there, James. Brilliant stuff. Well done. A lot of home. Anyway, we'll crack on. We're seeing a lot of conversation right now about the job market, about AI, about how work is changing. And depending on who you ask, you'll hear very different stories. So here's the question I'm asking myself. On one side, people are saying there are no jobs. On the other, companies are saying we can't hire. So how do both of these things exist at the same time? And that's the tension behind what we're calling the great hiring mismatch. If jobs haven't vanished, why does hiring feel harder for everyone? And it really does. A company's still hiring for yesterday's work, maybe. Is AI actually eliminating jobs or exposing how work is designed? And what happens when work is changing faster than job descriptions can keep up? Most importantly, what should organizations and candidates be doing differently right now? That's where we're going to spend our time today. And a quick ask. We've got some brilliant guests here with real expertise, so this is your chance to tap into that. Get your questions into the chat early. What are you struggling with when it comes to hiring right now? We often see questions coming right at the end, so don't wait. Get them in now, and we'll bring as many as we can into the conversation as we go. So let's get started. As always, I'm your host, Darren Bolton, and I'm joined today by a brilliant group of experts. I have Todd Laskowitz, who's deep into job architecture and AI. Got Juliana Varela, bringing the talent market perspective, and Stacey Perks, focusing on coaching and what this means for candidates. Great to have you all here. Welcome. Fantastic. Good to see you all. I hope you're all ready for our session today. I'm going to be coming to one at a time, but I'll shout you out, so don't panic, nothing there. But everyone will get a chance, so we'll get through it. I just want to start on what I see as the big tension right now. We keep hearing, as I've mentioned, there are no jobs, and yet organizations are saying they just can't fill roles. So what's actually going on here? Why does hiring feel harder than ever before, even when jobs seem to be there? Todd, do you want to take this one first?
Absolutely. So I think a couple of things are really emerging as we kind of see this dynamic taking place. First and foremost, I really think that work and roles in practical terms are shifting a lot faster than how we manage them in an organization through job descriptions. So because this is happening so fast, there's a mismatch between maybe what an organization or a hiring manager needs and how that's managed and communicated externally at times through job descriptions and job postings. So I think that's one thing that we're definitely seeing. I think another is that as we see AI continuing to take on more work and activities within organizations, it's happening at what we would consider more of a task level. It's not necessarily eliminating broad swaths of jobs or taking over roles. And as it takes on more task level details, it's hard to maybe translate that into what is actually needed from an individual that's going to take on that job in the future or in that job that's open right now. So as AI takes on more of that task level work, it's just a really tough translation between what's actually happening on the ground and what's needed for now or in the future. I think a lot of organizations often are hiring for titles. So they're looking at someone that maybe had a previous title or a previous experience, and they're not always hiring for the capability or the skill that they bring to the table. And a lot of times we're seeing a continued focus on transferable skills that are needed in organizations. And some of those might be what we would consider more behavioral competency type of skills versus maybe strong technical skills, where that was a major focus of hiring in the past. So that's shifting a little bit. And I think there's just an overall mismatch of those signals organizations traditionally use to really bring in the right candidates into their organizations. And then finally, I just think that there's a struggle right now between translating what candidates have and they bring to the table and what the organization really needs. So, all of those four other areas that I just mentioned are causing this mismatch between how that story's told and, really highlighting the what's in it for me as a candidate, as well as that what's in it for me as an organization, and seeing that right fit. So it's not only causing this mismatch, but it's also causing just, slowing down and a delay in that process that many people are experiencing on both sides of the equation.
That's great. That's great. Juliana, Stacey, anything you want to add to that?
I could add. So Todd, I agree with a lot of your points. I think one of the things when we talk about skills and capabilities and the speed of like workforce planning and job descriptions, I absolutely agree. I think there's a mismatch there because I think we're a little bit slower as typical organizations to create new job descriptions, to really look at skills. But then when I think about some of the conversations I have with clients, with candidates, we talk about skills, but I think a lot of organizations haven't defined, like they haven't really spoken about or clearly defined what are the skills and capabilities they need as an organization. So we talk about skills based. It's like, okay, well, what are those skills? What's important? What are some of these skills that support this strong acceleration around AI right now? What are the skills that support that? Because there's a lot of human skills that are adjacent and very much needed. But it's moving so fast, and job descriptions are kind of over here, and we just haven't quite caught up. So I think there's a lot of talk, but not a lot of definition around what those skills really are.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Okay, so we want some real honesty here. It's a safe place, guys. Are companies still hiring for a version of work that doesn't really exist anymore? Are we basically trying to recruit for yesterday while the job itself has already moved on? You kind of covered a little bit of this, but Juliana, kind of what's your perspective on that?
I think it's broad swaths are hard to talk about, right? But in general, yes, I think what we see is job descriptions are very specific. And that might be like the number one place to start, is like we've over-rotated to a list, a lot of things we're looking for, when we should be kind of rotating to the right a little bit and focusing on those skills and capabilities like we're just talking about. But yes, I think what happens is old job descriptions might say, I don't know, like let's think of a data analyst. Entry level, it's 3 to 5 years, you need this, you need SQL, you need these different things. But what we're kind of missing right now, especially with the acceleration of AI, is what does the job actually do today? Is it building dashboards? Is it cleaning data sets? What is it? And those might be entry level roles for college students, people that have just graduated. But the job description just eliminated all of those candidates that would be very capable in that role. So I think there is that. I mean, that's leans towards that mismatch that is happening, is older job descriptions.
Great. Anything to add from our other lovely guests?
Well, I'll just mention really fast. One of the reasons I think that you're seeing the job description or the ability to hire not keep up, and of course, I don't believe that's intentional, but a lot of the innovation of where you're seeing AI is being applied within work is happening more at the edges of the business, right? So it's happening out in where the work happens. It's not necessarily always being driven by a centralized team, just because of the proliferation of AI tools within an organization. The individuals that know the work best are best suited to be able to apply that. And it's not necessarily a tops down transformation, maybe like we've seen in the past with other technology changes. So as a hiring manager, they may understand how the work's rapidly changing on their team and some of those tasks that are being taken on by technology or by AI. But the ability for that hiring manager to then translate that through the different layers in the organization to really get the right candidate out there, I do think that that's a challenge that organizations are having, just because the pace of innovation is happening so rapidly. And it's really happening more on the edges of organizations a lot of times than through a centralized function than like traditional technology change.
Sure, sure. Right. God, Stacey, were you just about to jump in?
Well, I was just going to say, I think it's interesting, so I'm talking to clients all day about this and that are out there in the job search. And so we're talking a lot about the job descriptions, and it's always interesting as we're talking about how things are changing, how many job descriptions we see out there that where you can tell it's the old job description, and then they're trying to keep up. And then we get these really long job descriptions and we're trying to read between the lines. What is this person really going to do? So I think that's something they're seeing. I know back from my recruiting days, I know just job descriptions are hard to write to get it out there. And then when we have things that, again, with AI and just technology just changing so quickly, it is hard to keep up. And then of course, from, I'm speaking from the candidate side, it is, how do you read between the lines? And it is talking to folks that are doing this job, talking to people at this company. You probably heard me talk about this a couple of different times about, just getting in there and talking with folks that are doing the work and seeing what is important, what you're bringing.
We have a question from our lovely audience, which we're going to ping on screen now. We are, right, from David. Is skills-based hiring realistic for highly regulated or credentialed roles? Anyone wants to take that one on? Thank you, David.
I'll jump in with my take real quick.
Lovely.
Yes, it is. But so the table stakes are the credentials, right? So I don't think skills-based hiring replaces credentials that are necessary for roles. Those are still necessary. I think it's that adjacent skills that we're talking about. If we oftentimes, when something is highly regulated, it'll have a huge list of things needed, but only some of those are the necessary items. So the necessary items are table stakes. And then what I would suggest with skills-based hiring is that you're looking across, like what else? What are the capabilities in addition to the credentials, which might be a smaller list than what's in the job description? What else complements and creates something that is looks a little bit different than maybe it did historically?
Sure. Great.
Maybe I'll just jump in on that really quick, because there are definitely roles where you need to be highly credentialized. You need to have some sort of regulatory, license to be able to operate within that field. But when you start to peel away some of the work that maybe they've traditionally done, I think of a nurse is a great example where you need to be credentialized, could be regulated in many areas where you need to have either a license to operate or credentialization through a professional association or society. There is a significant amount of work that a nurse does today that as you start to apply technology, it starts to really shift. And when you think about the skills that a nurse may need beyond just their technical skills within the role, they may not need to be experts of, a lot of, data entry or insights that they have to put into the computer throughout their shift. They may not have to do that in the future nearly as much or at all. Or if they do, that's really shifting. So when you think about the skills that you may need from your nursing staff of the future, you may not need some of those skills related to data input, management of, different, health record systems, it may actually be more softer skills, right? Where you really want to have a more empathetic nursing staff. You might want to have a nursing staff that can actually have significantly greater learning agility because things are changing so fast. And you might be asking them to operate in a broader span of control than maybe they would have previously. So when you start to think about skills-based hiring in some of these roles, it does change, but it really does come down to how you design that role and that work in the future. Even for those roles that are, really technical or highly credentialized or regulated.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, and can I add something real quick?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I think one of the things that gets a little bit lost when we're focused on the skills is how do we use those skills, right? So earlier we were talking about the human side. So you don't hear all the time like, oh my gosh, I'm not an expert in AI. But can you be AI fluent? But then you have to know what to be able to do with that information. So those interpersonal skills, we want to make sure that those don't get lost, the critical thinking, the problem solving. But again, if we just get super or hyper focused on skills, sometimes those things get put on the side, but those are critical.
Absolutely. Well, you brought me nicely onto my next question, which surprisingly, we were never going to get through a session without talking about AI. We never do. But I suppose the question I'm asking, and we're all asking, is AI really taking jobs away? Or is it actually exposing that we never designed those jobs very well in the first place? Who wants to take that one?
I'll take a quick stab at it.
Correct.
So is AI taking jobs away question, I think there's a lot of layers to that. There are organizations that have been very public and said, we are removing this number of roles in our organization because we believe AI can do that work. I think most times when you look at that, there are other factors around that statement, but because AI is the flavor of today and it may be the flavor of the future, a lot of times it is something where, they are rewarded for making those public statements. When you look at the reality behind the scenes, there's many drivers for why those decisions are being made. And I don't always believe that AI is the first reason for that necessarily. I think it is a lot closer to what you said, Darren, that it is exposing really bad job design or poor job design. And that is what we might be seeing with this mismatch or slowed down hiring processes. AI absolutely is taking on work in many organizations, but it is not taking on work where it can explicitly, completely eliminate roles for a variety of reasons. You still need human decision making. You still need human QA. You still need human interaction through many different processes. You still need collaboration. Just because someone works with AI doesn't mean you collaborated, right? So you still need all of those values that you get a lot from humans involved in the workplace. It absolutely still exists today. On the flip side, though, there are things you're seeing break down in organizations. Information flow in organizations is a lot smoother and a lot quicker. So when you think about certain roles that would normally be gatekeepers of information or things like that, absolutely starting to see some of those tasks pulled out of those jobs or stripped away. Data analysis and data synthesis, AI does a great job at that. So you're starting to see some of those tasks or those activities stripped away from certain jobs. But again, it's not in wholesale where we're seeing absolute massive job elimination or shift because of AI's impact at the moment, even in highly exposed roles. There's tons of research out there that shows in even the most exposed roles of where AI could take on work, most of the time it's only taking on 25 to 30, maybe 40% of the work within those roles. And at those levels, it's not going to be wholesale job elimination or change necessarily.
Sounds good. I've got a number of questions coming in fast and furious now. So I'm not going to rush, but we're going to kind of head on. We've talked a lot about what's wrong, naturally. The real question, I guess, is what kind of actually changes, because hire better, I guess, isn't a strategy. So if we can get a little bit more specific, what do organizations and candidates need to do differently starting now? Todd, do you want to start with that one?
So I would say this: organizations truly need to understand where AI is impacting their work. Like if you are kind of flying blind right now as a leader in an organization, as a manager of a team, and if you don't understand which work is most impacted by AI, you need to get clarity there first.
Yeah.
Then you need to truly understand your organization's readiness and your technical capabilities needed to take that work on. Because that gap is going to be really where you're going to have that translation of where humans are needed and where humans are in the loop to help you truly refine your job descriptions and get the right candidates and skills in the door. But I would say that really that clarity and trying, there's no way to get complete certainty,
Yeah.
but at least attempting to. Because right now, the clients that aren't looking to either even explore that and gain certainty in those spaces, that's where we're seeing the struggles and a lot of those questions emerge. So I'll stop. I'll start there.
That's fine. Juliana, just if I move on to you, if most hiring processes are still built around, I guess, CVs and credentials, not actual capability, what's the one change TA teams can make right now to find the right people faster? And I guess not just more people, but the right people.
Right. Yeah, I think that is a real struggle right now, is the reality. Like, I think we can talk in theories, but it's the reality of how do we change the way work has been done to how it could be done in the future. So I would say if there's one thing, like as a TA professional, you could go out and work with your organization or leaders with, is to start talking about capabilities. So as hiring managers will always rotate to the skills, to what's been needed before. But if you can just switch the conversation and be ready for those to talk about capabilities, talk about what's next, and talk a little bit less about the 3 to 5 years and the this and the that, and talk about capabilities, like start that conversation. I think hiring managers and organizations want to talk about it and haven't really just carved off the time to really think about what is it we need? What type of, what are these adjacent skills? What does the org need? What does it need to look like 6 months from now, 9 months? Like forget the 3 to 5 years. Just focus on what's needed in the near term.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And
And Stacey,
can I ask a question? It just came.
no, you're not allowed to ask questions. That's what our viewers do.
Stacey, actually. So when I think about, right, you want if you're looking for a role or a job, you want to present yourself as like, I'm really well qualified for this. I'm the great fit in my resume. How much AI slop is being created through resumes and AI right now to try to position candidates to be right for the role, which could also be maybe slowing down the process as well. Do we see that we're coaching or talking to candidates about using AI, and how are we asking them to use it to avoid just creating AI slop that gums up the system?
Well, that's probably a great transition to Darren, I guess what you were about to ask. I think that all kind of ties in.
Yeah. Go for it.
Right. So, we are, again, I'm talking on the daily, multiple times a day about AI and how a candidate could be using it, should be using it. That's a great word, Todd, this AI slop. I think one of the things, I just saw a study recently that the hiring process from posting to actual hiring has increased by like 65% over the last year. And I do think a lot of that is these AI generated resumes. So somebody's going in, throwing in a job description. And another study I saw was talking about hiring managers saying, we don't even want to put our jobs out there anymore because we're getting thousands of people applying and everybody's resume looks the same because everybody's running it through AI with these job descriptions. So I think for, if I could share anything for candidates, one, it's that clarity. It's doing a self-evaluation, really looking at those skills, those hard skills, the soft skills, though, for the roles and the organizations that you are looking at. What is important to them? I would be remiss if I didn't mention a coach can help you put your stories together, right? So we really want to not just look at those words on a page. AI can help you with a little brainstorming, but you've got to make it personal and be able to demonstrate your value. Again, showing those interpersonal skills. Great, you have this, but what can you do with it? So you're thinking again about critical thinking, it's problem solving, it's being able to collaborate, be adaptable. If we're learning anything every day, it's that. So one other thing that I wanted to mention, along with, coaching being able to help you there, is to be networking. And I will tell you, if any of my clients are listening to this right now, this is something I talk about nonstop. And it's not just about the connection, but it's about gathering information. You're talking to people in the organizations that you want to be at. What is important to those companies, and people that are doing similar roles? How are they pulling this in and they're using that? So then you can better tell your story and the value you're going to bring.
That's great. Thank you. Right, so we are fast running out of time. And of course, we didn't do the poll test for nothing. So let's get the poll up on the screen if we can. So fingers on the buttons, 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, more numbers. So is your organization currently redesigning jobs for AI, or maybe it's new tasks? We just want a 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 if maybe you're piloting or experimenting with something maybe, and 4 maybe you don't know what the organization is doing at the moment as far as that goes. Put them in the chat and we will see that automatically transition to our lovely poll, hopefully. So we're looking for the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't let me down, team. You did a good job earlier. And there's no right or wrong answer, so don't panic about it. No one's judging here. Once again, I told you it's a safe place. I know you can all be quite shy, so if you can get in there, that'd be good. It's good to see someone has put something in there, so thank you there, Donna. Oh, a few more coming in now. Thanks, Susan. That's good. So yeah, keep going with those. And of course, if we run out of time with questions, we will try and get our lovely guests to come back to you on those. So don't panic. We are there for you to connect in some way. So I can see that's going. Keep that going. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. But I think we are going to have to wrap up. We have been short on time, but as always, a good conversation. There's lots of great questions. But I'd just like to say thank you very much to our lovely guests today. That was really insightful and very helpful. And I think everyone's really enjoyed it, especially from the poll. And I can see what's going on in the chat as well. So thank you very much and hopefully see you all again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
And to everyone who's joined us live, thank you for spending the time with us. Hopefully you're leaving with at least one idea you can take away and actually put into action. We've got much more on this topic. In the chat, you should see a link to Briefings issue 73, where you can actually download the article which this topic inspired. And you can also register for our webinar on April the 30th, where we'll cover this topic in more depth. So I think if there's one thing to leave you with, it's this. The problem isn't that work has disappeared. It's that it's changed faster than we've adapted to it. And the organizations and individuals who get ahead now won't be the ones waiting for clarity. They'll be the ones willing to rethink how work gets done, how skills show up, and how decisions get made. So don't wait for the perfect answer. Start testing, start adjusting, and stay ahead of the change. Thanks again for joining us all. As always, until next time, goodbye.